The sun had barely risen when Amir stepped onto the crowded bus, already feeling the familiar heat of frustration building in his chest. Someone shoved him from behind, another person stepped on his shoe, and a man loudly argued on the phone right next to him. It was chaos, but what bothered Amir most wasn't the noise, nor the crowd, nor the delay, was himself. He felt like he was always reacting, always getting angry, always letting the world control his emotions. Every small inconvenience hit him like a spark on dry grass. By the time he reached his office, those sparks often grew into flames that ruined his entire day. He knew it, but he didn't know how to stop. Today, however, something different was waiting for him, something that would change his life forever. At work, Amir's boss told him he had to train a new intern. The last thing he wanted was extra responsibility, especially on a day already off to a bad start. But before he could complain, the intern walked in, a thin young man named Osen, smiling softly, holding a notebook as if it was the most precious thing in the world. Amir started explaining the routine tasks, but throughout the morning, small mistakes kept happening. Osen accidentally spilled water on a document, misplaced a file, and even gave wrong information to a client. Each time Amir's frustration rose, his jaw tightened, his heartbeat quickened, and his fists curled. But just as he was about to explode, he noticed something odd. Osen never reacted. Not once. He didn't panic, didn't get defensive, didn't argue. He simply apologized, fixed what he could, and continued working with the same gentle smile. By lunchtime, Amir couldn't hold his curiosity anymore. "Why don't you react?" he asked bluntly. "If I were you, I'd be stressed, angry, embarrassed something. But you just stay calm." Wasson looked up from his notebook, his eyes calm in a way that made Amir uncomfortable. "Because I used to be exactly like you," he said quietly. "Reactive, angry, always ready to fight life. And it destroyed me." Amir blinked. He hadn't expected that. Osen closed his notebook and continued. 3 years ago, I lost everything, my job, my health, my closest relationships, because of my temper. Every small thing made me explode. Life kept testing me, and I kept failing. Then my grandfather sat me down and told me something that changed everything. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to sail. I didn't understand then, but slowly it made sense. The world will always behave as it wants. People will be rude. Plans will fail. Situations will test you. But if you react to everything, you hand over your power. You let others control your moods, your decisions, your peace. Amir listened, feeling something inside him shift. Osen continued. My grandfather taught me a simple practice. Pause. When something triggers you, don't react. Don't speak. Don't move. Just pause. Breathe. Feel your emotions rise, but don't let them lead you. In that pause, you reclaim your power. That pause is where wisdom lives. The words hung in the air, sinking into Amir like rain into dry soil. He thought about his mornings, his arguments, his ruined days. He thought about how much of his life he had surrendered to anger. That evening, destiny decided to test Amir. On his way home, the bus was late, and when it finally arrived, it was packed. A man bumped into him so hard, he dropped his bag. Another muttered something rude. An old habit rose inside him, his anger, ready to burst. But then, he remembered Osen's words. Pause. Just pause. Amir closed his eyes for a moment. He breathed. He didn't react. Something incredible happened. The moment passed. The anger that usually seized him slipped away like water through fingers. The situation was the same, but he wasn't. That night, he walked home quietly, thinking, maybe life had never been the enemy. Maybe his reactions were. Over the next few days, he kept practicing the pause. When someone at work snapped at him, he didn't snap back. When traffic was slow, he breathed instead of cursing. Slowly, a strange new feeling began growing inside him. Peace. Real peace. The kind that comes from choosing how you feel instead of letting the world choose for you. One afternoon, Amir's boss yelled at him unfairly in front of the team. Normally, Amir would have shouted back or walked away angrily. But this time, He paused. He listened. He waited. And then, in a steady voice, he explained the situation calmly. His boss stopped, surprised. The team stared. Amir walked out of the room with dignity, feeling an unfamiliar sense, not the loud kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind. Weeks passed. Amir noticed that problems still came, stress still visited, and challenges still appeared, but none of them controlled him anymore. The world hadn't changed, but he had. His relationships improved, his health improved, and even his sleep improved. People at work began saying he carried a different aura, something grounded, unbothered, peaceful. Amir simply smiled, remembering the intern who had taught him what no book or video had ever explained so simply. One evening, Amir sat with Osen on the office rooftop watching the sunset. "Your grandfather," Amir said, "he changed my life too." "Through you," Osen smiled. "He always said, when you stop reacting, the world stops controlling you. What used to make you angry becomes powerless." Amir nodded slowly, feeling the depth of the truth. "I always thought strength was about standing up, fighting back, defending yourself. But now I see. Real strength is staying calm when the world wants a reaction." Osen closed his notebook, stood up, and said, "Exactly. Anyone can react. Not reacting, that's mastery." Amir watched the last bit of sunlight fade behind the buildings, thinking about how far he had come. He realized something beautiful. Peace was not something you found. It was something you created, breath by breath, choice by choice, pause by pause. And in that simple pause, he had discovered a new life, stronger, wiser, and finally his own.